Director Williams? Director Newman? Director Britt? Present. Director Mack?
Here.
Director Randolph? Here. Director Daniels? Vice Chair Washington? And Chair Gar.
Here, please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge of allegiance. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda is presentations.
We have the January 2025 financial statement. Wanted to make sure the board has to let them know our financial position for as of January. And see if there's any additional questions. The expenditures or revenues. Just for the record, going forward also, you'll get the presentation and then it'll be an agenda item. The board needs to start approving the finance. At every meeting.
Board member Randall.
I just had a question. Based upon what's on the agenda tonight, is this the amended one that you're gonna be asking for?
I'm gonna be coming back
Coming
to
back.
another meeting for the budget.
Okay.
So it's not reflected in January.
All right.
It'll be reflected in February.
Okay.
Children month.
Any other questions or comments about the?
What are we renting or leasing, expenditure line item 4,400?
What number is that?
4,400, it's at the beginning of, 5. Do you have anything we're renting or leasing?
Truck? No, it's not the vehicles. No. I think that's just an allocation that board made when they adopted the original budget. And today, loan 784, that's from October 1 to present. So some of those expenditures may have happened before I got.
Was it like an event or something like rented a tent or?
Something like this,
Okay.
probably small item.
No, I can't think of. Check. I can.
I can get your answer. All right.
Mhm.
I have to talk to
Any other comments or questions? If there,
I do have,
yes,
did Director Randolph have a question? Mine is just titling. So in the revenue, we have the historical grant program, which I'm assuming is the Chitlin Circuit, the grant for the club.
Right.
But then we also have the Kennedy Master Plan Development and the historical grant program in expenditures. Is there a difference between the two?
The historical program is $1 million should be reflected from the historical grant.
Right.
African American history. They established these line items before. That, but I'll Lori's out because she's got mother's evil. So she just provided this to me before she went up. They'll take care of mom. So.
And the only other one that I wanted to know about was the reflection of the disbursements that have already gone on. If I'm not mistaken, there's been at least one disbursement for the,
Architectural services.
right,
Yes,
okay.
he has a
And-
contract that's 67,000, and it's a progression payment as he moves through the.
That's not the 250 that
No.
should have come for the, so we haven't received any disbursements for the million?
Yes, just the architect.
That's it.
costs. That's it.
Okay, okay. I didn't know if that was supposed to be reflected in the expenditures or even in the revenue to show the anticipated versus
Once,
current.
once me and the attorney, reconcile the, escrow agreement with Black Girl,
Okay.
then we will get them. But at 250,000.
Okay. That was all I had. Thank you. Yes.
And keep in mind, that's January,
Right, not
not February.
Today, right.
Is that?
Are there any other questions or comments? All right, then we're gonna move on. Citizen participation, Mrs. King.
Yes, we did receive an email from Angela Johnson and asked that we acknowledge and read it into the record.
Okay, for that, we decided that we will definitely make it a part of the public record. Well, oh, she's there. Do you want to?
You want to come and speak to your own?
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for the music. Hands on hold. Hands on hold.
Councilor that, well, this email.
So, good afternoon, board. Residents. After reviewing the agenda for this evening, yes, some of them can be responded to later, but some of them need to be, responded to tonight. And I'll address those specifically quickly. If you have it in front of you, number 2, item number 8, where we have changed the Stogies at Sunset event to now be a CRA sponsored event. My question is, on the cover sheet, there is no dollar amount that's been established. So how can you approve something without knowing what the cost is gonna be? Where in your budget on pages 4 and 5 are these expenditures going to be charged? And are you setting a precedence for future community events where everyone can now change them to CRA events so that they can get funding? So yes, I'm asking these questions now, and if you could please address, and I think that these things can be addressed before you vote on them tonight. And then when we get to item number 9, which is authorizing the purchase of the property located at 119 West Street. What goal, because it was acknowledged in agenda item number 8 that it was in accordance to goal number 3 in the 1997 plan, which you're operating under. What is the goal that's associated with this land purchase? Again, I'm going to take you back to your pages 4 and 5 of your budget that you were just looking at. There is no budget line item for land acquisition. So my question, and just clarity, if you could please address this in front of the residents tonight. We oftentimes hear that it has to be in the plan and in the budget. So is land acquisition in the budget? And by no means am I saying that the town should move forward with acquiring property to get rid of blight. But let's make sure that we're following policies and procedures so that we can make sure that we're doing things consistently across the board. So specifically, if I look at on the cover sheet again, it states that the CRA has a budget of 1.9 billion. We know that $1 million of that is restricted for the club and that renovation. So the CRA technically only has $967,000. The budget does not, again, show anywhere for line acquisition. So if you could please, and I think that the board would be doing a disservice to the residents, the CRA, the town, if you vote on this tonight without knowing where those funds are coming from. And then what is the timeline for the renovation as well as construction and development of the lots that you are proposing to purchase. So those are the questions. You have them in front of you. And I would challenge you or encourage you to please address these tonight during the discussion before voting. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Angela Thomas.
Angela Thomas, kind of big deal. Mine just about the same as Ms. Johnson, but a few questions is in regards to this letter of intent. Are we gonna get it updated because it addresses pastors and trustees, and we're not pastors nor trustees up here? At least I don't think so. And then when you go to the letter of intent expiration, it says February 17th, 2025 by 5 p.m. So you don't have an updated letter of intent. So are we voting to get this passed tonight? If so, we don't have an updated one to pass. And then with the purchase price subject to the appraisal, my advice, just my opinion, I think we need an attorney, not an attorney, but a realtor, because we need, if they have their own realtor, we need someone to work with us so they can negotiate what we would like and what we desire as far as the repairs, and things that may come with the property, or if it's sold as is and that's how we buy it, so be it. But if not, we need someone to look out for our better half as well, so to see if we can get anything more than just that appraised value. Then if we get appraisal, let it not be a drive-by appraisal, let it be a full appraisal. That would also include the repairs that may be needed on the property. And then my other one is in reference to number 8, the Stogies event. I'm not sure who's bringing this forward, but I thought, Mr. Johnson, you had said that we couldn't do events, or maybe I just misunderstood how you were saying it. And then if we are gonna do it, would it depend on who bring it forward? Because if it's a family member bringing it forward, wouldn't that be a conflict of interest? That's just my opinion. Thank you. No, you don't have to answer. I just wanted to give you my opinion on it.
We have Joyce Arby.
Ms. Randolph, Councilman Randolph, thank you for pointing out things that seem vague to you. Councilman Washington, because something may have come up in 2017 or 1956 when I was born, or 1887, they would still have value. Mayor, I have not heard you mention a plant, animal, vegetable, mineral, or human other than saying every minute we gotta protect the executive director, damn the citizens. And I got that my supermajority so nobody can take them out. Mr. Daniels, thank you for trying to be clear and precise to give people something specific they can look at and not overreact. You're asking for much. Councilman Mack, for my respect, thank you. You may disagree on everything, but the fact that you don't want to cheat people out of being heard is priceless, no matter how it goes. Because we can live and die with it, but I can't die with it feeling cheated. And you have given other people an opportunity to speak. Thank you. Ruthie, cause you got a future. She asked you, she said, don't come in here cutting up tonight. I'm trying to restrain myself. Your words, you are such a diplomat. You are so well spoken. I'm very proud. And I thank you. And Director Williams, if we're taking up too much of your time, I apologize, but I know you're free to go in a moment.
Our next one will be King Mark Bertrand.
House citizens, house members. I came to the town to help then it's time for me about that. I feel like what I'm hearing recently is that's they're taking advantage of. I proposed something to the town that the town talked about. So I was gonna get a letter of intent within the day. And the intent was to use that letter of intent to get an extension so that we continue on with trying to retain and maintain and keep our property. Okay. Instead, someone went behind our backs and negotiated their own agreement. And then when we see in the agreement, it asked for us to be removed prior to you guys closing. Says, hey man, we're not being considered when we came to you guys for help. If we didn't come to you guys, we had other options. We could have done something different. Because at no point were we planning on losing the property or to not make a profit on it. We were gonna walk away from it. Okay, and despite what anybody says, when we walked away from that meeting, the next day, we told the lender that we were gonna get a letter of intent from the town. And he said, we'll talk about the extension once we got the letter of intent. I waited for that letter of intent, never got it. Okay, and then I find out that the town communicated with the lender without saying anything to us to make it make sense, because that's not typical in this type of transaction. Then to find out that they're gonna go ahead and do a deal that we brought to the town, thinking that it was something that we'd be engineering and something that we communicate back and forth with. We've had no communication. And to stipulate that the lender removes us prior to closing says the intent is not to help us at all. Okay, now I've heard the lender said, oh, they weren't going to extend it. That's bull, because he has every time he said he wasn't going. Okay, and at least give us the opportunity to fail at our attempt to extend it before you go behind us and steal our house. Essentially, is what's happening. We came and said, hey, we want to make this offer. We want to have the opportunity to buy our house back. That is not what's in this contract. And it's not what we've been hearing about this particular transaction. So it's disappointing. I am a citizen here. I employ people in town. I help people in town. I came to the town exposed and we came up, vulnerable to the town asking for help. I could have went outside of the town. I had other options, but when I came to the town, I felt safe at that time. That's not how I feel right now. I've read any other town member come to the town and say, hey, we're in a situation and we need help. But this to happen to them. I feel so, I can't even express it, how betrayed my trust I feel at this moment. Okay.
I can give you 30 more seconds.
I yield my time to him, so.
Crystal, Bertrand, will, you have 2 minutes.
It's heartbreaking to see that this is how we treat our citizens and people in our community. Again, I say there's so many different ways that this should have went properly. Okay, if the situation came, the town said, hey, we need this document from you in order for us to move forward, and I'm unable to present it, then okay, that's a roadblock that I wasn't able to overcome. And then that's understandable. But at no point was I asked for something that I wasn't able to provide, or did we have a conversation about different options for how we could be helped, how the town could be helped, what options make sense for everyone. That discussion did not have been had. And there's no way, based on what we're seeing, that you're taking accountability for the fact that you are telling someone to remove a family, a husband, a wife, a child out of a home so that the town can take advantage of that opportunity that we brought to it. I don't know how that's considered the business, the practice. I don't understand. But I pray for everyone. I hope everyone can sleep at night, whoever feels that this is appropriate
And this is how we are to expect the town to do business in the future. I was proud to be a part and move into Eatonville. This, my kids, oh, this is a place, man, this is history, this is our black community. Be proud of it. You know, and then the one time when we come, we spent so much time and effort to help as many people as we can in this. And the one time we come to the town and say, help, this is how. So blessings to everyone. God be with you.
That was that last one.
Right, so the next item on the agenda is,
That's the question. That's the question. What should we do? What should we do?
The damage has been done. We have no leverage to go back to give an extension. Okay, what would have been fair is you say, okay, hey, you guys get your 12 months or whatever amount of time that we could have negotiated, have we talked about it, to buy the property back. If not, you take advantage of all the equity and the possibility of building on the lot if we're not able to come through. But when we came to you guys, the package, you know what I mean? The idea was, hey man, this is a good opportunity for the town to develop. Town makes money. You know, and the intent was, hey, we're willing to walk away from those potential earnings to save our home. You know, this would be the incentive for the town to purchase the home and hold it for us, give us an opportunity, because all we needed was more time. That was the point. Every time we talk to the lender, we gotta pay them more money. You want $20,000 for another extension. You know, every time we're giving out money for extension, because every time we're working with the bank, we get a little more time, the bank taking longer to close than we expect, and he's charging us extra, and we're just tired of that whole stress. Say, hey man, let's just offer this opportunity to the town, and before we offer it to anybody else. And once it got to the town, we again felt safer. So we stopped pursuing other options. And then once the town went and talked to the lender, and however that conversation went, I hear it went all kind of different ways. And once that happened, the lender is thinking, hey, I got the town, I don't need to deal with them anymore. And so the town, their own deal. But 100%, I've never seen a deal. People wholesale all around here. If you got a contract on a property and I come in contract with you, it doesn't matter if your name is on the property. That's just business error. That's just business error. You have the right to go out and contract a property and then sell that contract as long as the contract gives you the right to do that. And that's what we had. By not receiving that LOI, like we were told we was gonna receive the next day, we never received it, took away our leverage to negotiate our extension.
And that's all you needed.
That's all we needed. I mean, we have text messages from the lender saying, hey, as soon as we get that, we'll talk about our extension. Okay, and instead, they got a phone call from the town. And whatever happened after that ended up in the town being a contract or negotiations of a contract directly with them without conversation with us. We didn't know about the meeting the other night. No one said, hey, we're discussing this, your property tonight. I don't think that was fair. And throughout every conversation and everybody saying all these things, we're like, no, they got our best interest. It's gonna happen like this. This is what we discussed. And when I saw today that the contract is saying that we need to vacate the property prior to closing. I mean, that closing date was set for the 28th. Okay, which meant the lender could call us today and say, hey man, y'all gotta be out tomorrow. When the only reason you put that in there is because that's the desire of whoever put it in there. Because the contract doesn't say that, it didn't come with that, that's something that's been added to the contract, so that's a desire of whoever is creating the contract. The lender didn't say, do you want me to vacate the property prior? I don't know what they did, but they didn't say that to us. But what we do know is the contract saying in order for the town to purchase the property, we need to be vacated prior to. So that's strong language. unnecessary language, because even after you buy the property, you can deal with vacating it however you want. But to demand that, saying, hey, we are not gonna be the ones telling you, we're gonna make you tell. So again, that's just something that makes me feel like, I don't know, again, I pray to you, believe in God and that He got it under control. So bless us again. Any other questions?
Before moving for a decision, I guess, according to what you're saying in terms of having to be out of the property, if we do decide to move on with purchasing the property, I would definitely not want to see you move out immediately, you know what I'm saying? So hopefully we can make some stipulation to where you can stay there until you get your affairs in order. And then even possibly making an opportunity for you to purchase the property back, if that's the will of this board, because I don't want to see anybody in that situation, especially having a family, kids, that nature. I got a heart, I'm a man of God. I trust the process of, just doing things and, doing due diligence of anybody in this community, you know what I'm saying? And that director, I'm a council member before I'm a director. And my job is to protect this town. That's what I swore to do, and that's what I will continue to do. I do apologize for you enduring what you're going through, you and your wife and your kids. It's never an easy task, being asked to, vacate the premises, because I've been in that situation before, unfortunately. So I can definitely, understand how you feel. I don't know how you feel. I can just imagine, but I do feel like I'm a fair guy, in terms of, just if we purchase the property, because we don't want any, it's a lot of things that's going on within the grounds of it, but if we do push forward to purchase the property, I would recommend that you stay in there until you get your affairs in order and reaping the opportunity for you to be able to buy the property back. Also, once you get your affairs in order and get everything financially stable, the way that you want it to be and what you need it to be, I want this board to understand that we will want to give that property back to you in good faith with you buying it back from us. But we want to be able to protect you also with buying the property. If that's something that this board want to do, I think that'll be the right thing to do. That's my opinion, because I don't want any man, because you're a man before you're anything. And I don't want to, see you in no situation, especially being a citizen of this community. And if we can help you out in any way possible with, making this happen, sitting down, speaking with the attorney, the executive director to come to fruition that we can make this happen, I'm for it. So that'll definitely be something that we could definitely entertain. That's my opinion. Hopefully this board feel somewhat the same way I do. And that's my take on it.
Real quick. Oh, go ahead.
No, this was public period. I'm just trying to speak to me.
Okay.
We had time to discuss
I was
this.
gonna ask the attorney, if we purchase, there's no way that we could do that, right? When we purchase it as a town, there's no way that we could do that.
My understanding from what I'm hearing is that a condition of the purchase of the property is for vacating the property.
Mm-hmm.
And so the purchase of the property would mean an automatic vacation of the property upon purchase. The only way that changes is if the terms of the agreement with the current occupant is changed, because my understanding is that that's been changed now. Because you said that that you're supposed to vacate the property once before it's sold.
Your contract states that you're requesting that the property is vacated prior to closing. That is a request that has been put into the contract. Can you lease back the property and sell it back? 100% yes.
Oh, you can?
You can do that, okay? You can do that. No, once you own the property, you can't know who can tell you who you can lease it back to or who you can sell it to. That's 100%. You could 100%, and 100%. That was what was on the table when this conversation started. Okay.
So I misunderstood what you said in terms of having to vacate. I thought that your vacating the property was based on that end.
No.
If it's a part of this contract, then the board can amend that language in the contract, to whatever it wants to. But I don't know if it was the seller's, I don't know that part. So that would have to be determined from the seller, of the property. If that's their language or if it's the language of the board, then the board can make amendments in whatever way it sees fit, but I don't know what the seller's requirements are. I didn't know that, right?
I was more talking about buying it and buying it back. That's what I was saying. Taxpayers' money is like we are like a hard money lender, realtor type of deal. You know, that's what I was saying when board member Matt was saying, you know, try to let him buy it back. I thought it was stipulation saying if we bought it, then we couldn't sell it back. Cause that's what's the same thing I was trying to do with Mr. Dixon's property. And they said, once we get it, then we can't give it back to the family, let the family buy it from us. With that situation, that's what I was asking.
Well, I remember that there is language within the statute. And I believe that when that question was asked, I did bring forth that language as to how that can be done.
Okay.
I don't have it in front of me right now, but I can bring it back for this board as to the disposal of property, and things of that nature. So, because that's what it would fall up under. I think it's 163.357 is where it falls up under, and if not, I'll make sure that I clear it.
If this was tabled, could you be able to get the money up or something that help if this was tabled? Could you?
I made it clear to that we were in the finance process, but the extensions were costing so much. I wanted to find a quicker option. Okay. Because we're not on title right now.
What does that mean?
That means that in some situations, if you were bailing someone out, okay, let's say as a foreclosure bailout, there is some situations where you can't buy the property and then give it back to them and stuff like that. And however, that can apply to us because we're not current owners of the property. You know what I'm saying? So it would be no different leasing it, selling it to us as it would be to anyone else because we're not on title. Okay, so there's no stipulation stopping this from happening. This is a matter of choice, a matter of decision that you guys make. Nothing legal can stop you from leasing the property back to us and selling it back to us. Because as of right now, the property is owned by the lender. Okay, so you guys will be buying it from the lender and entering a sales lease agreement with us. No different than if you did it with anyone else.
And that's my take on it, because like I was explaining to you earlier about us, I think it'd be a win-win if you ask me personally. And I hate to keep, going on with this, but if we buy the property, right, in good faith by this panel agreeing to let you lease the property back and possibly buying it back down the road once you get your finances in order, right? We'll be able to do that. But I don't want you to be out the door. You know what I'm saying? You got a child, you got a family, you got a wife. And like I told you before, you're a man before you anything. I would rather us do that versus us not buying the property and you guys still having to leave. You know what I'm saying? Sooner than, the next day possibly. So I think if we can come to an agreement to buy the property, right? By this board being able to buy the property. Once we buy the property, we'll put stipulations like, okay, if you want to lease, if they'll agree to lease this property for whatever time it is that we agree upon, and then possibly be able to buy it back, I'm in agreement with that. You understand me? I'm in agreement with that. That's only if this board want to do that. But like at the end of the day, I'm only one vote. But I think it makes sense for us to do that. That way, you won't be in a situation to where you have to move immediately And like the attorney said, we are the ones that make the stipulations, once we buy the property. Regardless, because once we buy it, we can, regulate how we want to regulate it in terms of whoever live in there. But being that you reside there already, I don't see no need of you vacating the property if you haven't did anything to cause any harm or what have you. You know what I'm saying? And like I told you, at the end of the day, I don't care what nobody else say. I got a heart. You understand me? And I vote by conviction. I ask him for everything. And he telling me to help you out, you and your family. And that's what I want to do. But I'm not the only one that is going to be able to make that decision. But I want to be able to protect you also by buying this property, because if we don't purchase this property, you're going to have to vacate regardless. You understand me? Because you're not in a position to buy the property right now financially. So it's almost like we're like, okay, agreeing to let you stay in the residence by us buying the property, and then down the road, and I hate to keep being a horse, and then you have opportunity to buy the property back. So if that's something that you could, see happening, we would be, I would be willing to be able to help you out with doing that, with the support of this board. And going off the discretion of what the attorneys already told me, is something that we can do. So there's nothing that would deny us from doing that,
I know I've taken up way more time than you guys allotted for me. So I'll say this, that, it's on you guys. I would rather have the opportunity to try to save my house than have you. Okay. I was not advocating. Right now, I'm feeling like I'm at a dead end because the council has, or town, whoever has negotiated a contract without us. And at that point, we're no longer in a conversation. Prior to that, we were in a conversation. Prior to that, we knew we could get these things. Prior to that, we know that financing is down the road, which is waiting for it to close. The problem now is that that's been taken off the table because we've been cut out of the conversation as we started. And without that option, nothing else would seem fair. I mean, honestly, nothing else. But appreciate y'all time.
Without what option?
Give us the option to buy the property back.
So the opinion that I made is not an option for you?
No, I said that is the best option.
Oh, okay, I thought you were saying that it's not an option. Okay. Okay.
That's what we're looking at.
Right, and like I said though, in a nutshell, I think that would be and I'm not, listen, I'm not a realtor, I don't deal with real estate, but just, I have common sense. I know if we buy the property and we own the property, essentially, we can make that discretion on if you stay in the property or not. You know what I'm saying? This board, nobody makes that decision but this board, right? And if we can get to a point of agreement with that, however long you need to get your affairs in order, if you choose to even stay in there longer than whatever it is, right? You'll be leasing the property, and then if we can come up with this agreement to where we can put in a clause to where if you choose to buy the property back, I think we'll be willing to do that because it's your house anyway. You understand me? So we'll be pretty much just saving the opportunity of you losing it totally, because it is a unique situation, because we did deal with this with the Dixon property, but unfortunately that he's deceased and wasn't, nowhere like you up here fighting right now, which you should, you know what I'm saying? You should be fighting. I'll fight too if I'm in the process of losing my property for whatever reason. And whatever reason that is, that's your own personal reason. But we do want to be able to help you out in any way possible and be sensible about this thing instead of being unsensible and just doing whatever. I'm not in that. You know what I'm saying? Like I told you the other night, I'm about changing lives and helping people, man. That's what I'm here for. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be able to help you out if this board can agree with that, So that's where we at. I think that will be the best solution right now, because you're not in a position to buy the property. If you was, we would have had that dealt with, you know what I'm saying? And then the LOI, I don't know exactly what translated with that, but we're here to help you now. If this board allow us to help you. Okay, so that's where we at. I know it's been a lengthy conversation. That's why we had a workshop, because I think it's much needed to be able to have these discussions about stuff like this. And, it's imperative, but, you know, that we're in the position that we're in, man, and it's not fun. Not for me. But let's go ahead and, you know, make that decision, board, on purchasing the property and doing what I recommended, possibly, if that's something that we could agree with.
Just real quick, Board Member Mack and Board Member Daniels, just a direct response to the question. So it's chapter 163.380. And what it does dictate, with some caveat, and I have to mention that, is that the community redevelopment agency may sell, lease, deposit, or otherwise transfer real property or, any interest thereof acquired by the community redevelopment agency to any private person. The one caveat, though, however, is that, as you read down, is that the individual who leases that property is obligated to use that property, by the dictates of the CRA plan. So it can be leased, it can be, disposed of, but the person who leases it, the person who buys it has to abide by what the CRA plan says that property can be used for, what can be done with properties within the CRA area. So I just want to make sure that I clarify that.
But it is a residential.
It says.
It's not commercial, it's not, you know, it's residential. So.
Any problem, yes, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Bertrand is already at the podium. For the sake of following the agenda, can we go ahead and move from public participation into, the decision items, and then maybe bump this one up to the top so we can go ahead and, since he's already at the podium, that way we kind of follow, you know, long. I'm all for the public participation for sure,
Right.
but since he's already here and we're kind of still stuck on public participation, is that an option to go ahead and just move that up to?
So move item number 1
All the way up.
in front of consent.
Consent agenda.
We can go ahead, if we can go ahead and
Do the
approve the
consent and
consent
go on to-
agenda,
All right,
and then we already know what's going on with the board discussion for the bylaws, maybe just move 9 up to the top of board decisions, so we can go ahead and continue the conversation since he's already here.
all right, so we're gonna go to the consent agenda, get that approved.
Cause there's, before I cut anybody off, is there anybody else for public participation?
No, that was it.
Okay, so, yeah.
Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed. All right, consent agenda has been approved. Board discussion with CRA. We've kind of done that, so we can take care of that. So now you want to move agenda item 9 up to the current situation.
I'm taking item 7.
Decision. Seven.
Oh, you want to go into those decisions too? You just asked for it to be moved up.
We already
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
had a
yeah.
conversation, we already kind of know what we're gonna do
She's
with
requesting that
7.
it's moved up.
I know we still need to talk about 8, but if we can go ahead, since he's already at the podium,
Right.
if we can just make 9, 7, and then push 7 and 8 down to 8 and 9. That way we can go ahead and finish the discussion, put the motion on the floor, second discussion, that way we can kind of continue the conversation. In.
9 and 7 to replace each other.
All right, so
Yeah.
you are asking for a, going to get it into the second position. Motion and seconded for discussion.
Correct.
All right. So we are now on item 9, approval of resolution CRA R 2025-12, authorizing the purchase of property located at 119 Southwest. Ms. King, read the
Resolution CRA-R-12, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TORA. Board of Directors authorizing the purchase of property located at 119 Southwest, Eatonville, Florida, 32751, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
for the preamble. Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded. We're now in question.
Who seconded?
I did.
You did, okay. Thank you.
I didn't know if anybody else, I saw Dorothy right off with her hand up.
You first.
No, you can go ahead. I was still
All
trying
right,
to get my
Rand,
comments
Dr.
together. I just wanted to make sure we were in proper protocol.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay,
this item is a very, can be a very complex situation. And, it was proposed to the board about purchasing, this particular property at 119 South East Street. Now, Mr. Bertrand, when you came here about 2 weeks ago, you had reference to the board about us entering into an agreement of some type that you can take a correspondence or something to whoever that party was the next day. Now, when I check my records with the courthouse records, you're contending right now that as a town that you stated on how you were treated by the town, even though you came here at the last moment to do something about the situation. And I really, really apologize and very sorry for what you have gone through. However, when I checked the records, this property was actually for sale back in October 2024. So you had already lost the property. Now, I don't know what between that time and the time when you came here that you were trying to get or had asked, I wasn't trying. You had asked us if we would support what you were trying to do with that property. And then you also had lists of other properties, which actually in reality that you really don't own anyway. So I don't understand how we will be able to do an agreement with something that you actually don't own. And not only that, but the 119 West Street property had a writ of possession in January 2025 on the 28th of that month. Okay, then I want to refer to the contract by Mr. Jonathan Penny, and I'm assuming that he is the actual seller of the property. And he made a transaction of some sort with the CRA, which Mr. Mike Johnson, our executive director, we gave him the privilege to enter into a letter of intent for the board, for the town of Eatonville board. He brought that back to us, and we have not, and Mr. Johnson, if you can answer this question, please. Has this contract been actually executed and signed?
Has not been executed or signed.
Okay, that is correct. Because there's no signatures, there's no initials on the contract, but we do have a letter of intent. Is that correct?
We have a letter of intent, and until this board takes formal action to authorize the contract.
Okay, and it's for the price of $330. That is for the house.
339.
39, yeah, thank you for correcting that. 339,000 for the house, and also the additional lots in the back of the house. Of course, you know that because you live there, correct? Okay, now, the property was already involved, as far as I'm concerned. And then to me, I don't know how anyone else feels about it, but to come here and to make a proposal to us for something that was not even in place and was not happening, to me, that was, I call it the fraud. I don't know if that was your intent at that time, but to come before the board to present something that you didn't have, I find that relatively very questionable at this point. Hold on one second. Can you hold on 1 second, please? Can you hold on 1 second? I'm going by what I read, sir, and I'm going by what a copy is registered in the courthouse. Okay, so that's what I'm going by. Also, as far as that is concerned, we do have a preliminary title. Nothing is back yet. Of course, we wouldn't do that until we sign and execute everything that needs to be paid for out of the earnest money deposit. Mr. Johnson, have we made any transactions? No, that has not happened. So we still have some work that we have to do on this to determine what's in the best interest of the CRA board. Okay? Now, as far as my questioning of this right now, there's a couple other things that I was hoping for that we would be able to move forward tonight. And that is, we don't have a budget amendment for this. I'm quite sure if the right people were in place, this was already been done. Mrs. Laurie, who I worked with for about 4 months in the CRA, she's very professional, very on top of everything. She crossed her T's and dot her I's, but she's not here. So I know Mr. Johnson may have had some difficulties today, trying to get all these documents together in order to complete that portion, but that portion has not been done. So that's where we at a standstill at right now, because now there's nothing on the budget that indicates where the money is going to come from. So I will allow you to explain that portion so we can have a better understanding.
Yes, Mrs. Nozar is dealing with a family situation up north. She was unable to prepare the budget amendment to you. I did reach out to her today, and I was gonna request a special session for next Wednesday at 5:30 to deal with the budget amendment, because you do have to amend the budget to make the transaction act prior to the close.
Okay. So if that doesn't happen tonight, which I know it won't, maybe the next day, maybe something we can do, call a special meeting or something and get that done.
I've spoken to the chair, that was our plan.
Okay, all right. Now, as far as all of that is concerned, I don't have any more questions at this particular time. But if you have any questions, then you can ask any questions that you may have.
You know, it's really interesting how you just accused me of being fraudulent. Everything that you said and that is basically what I told you. When I called you, when I sent packages, when I explained that Jonathan King is the person on title, and that I have a contract and that it's assignable. That's not fraud, that's everyday business and real estate. Okay, so when you throw words out like that into the community, it either says that you are that is not abnormal transaction. Mike, you are a real estate agent. You are the CRA director. So for someone here to stand here and say that's fraudulent, I would hope that you'd stand up and say, no, man, you have it misunderstood. We were under contract. Is that a lie? Did you find out that we were not under contract? We had an extension. Was that a lie? Did you find out we didn't have an extension? Did I tell y'all the extension ended on the 7th? I said that. I said my extension ends tomorrow. With the letter back, the LOI, I'd be able to try to get it extended. I gave you all the information. Everything else you're digging into has no relevance on the actual situation. I don't have to own a property to have it under contract to transfer it to someone else. That happens everywhere, every day. They have classes that teach people how to do that. I didn't mark the price up. Where do you think y'all got the $339 price to put on the contract? On my contract, for what I negotiated. For my price. So to walk in behind me and say, oh, well, he already lost the property, we're just gonna go behind him. I don't know where that's good business practice or ethics. So I'm sorry if you're misinformed and you think because I don't own the property legally and it's in my name, that there's no way I could possess legal rights to transfer that property to someone else. That's a misunderstanding. I'm sorry that you had. okay? But if you Google wholesaling or flipping property or any of that, most people go out, they'll find a property at a low price, they'll get it under contract, that contract says it's assignable, and they find someone else to buy it, and they assign it to them. That is legal. Happens everywhere in every state. So this is not new. I did not defraud you guys on that paperwork I gave you when you asked me who's name on title, blah, blah, blah. I put the person's name on title. I put that I have it under contract. So this is, you're not discovering or uncovering anything that I wasn't transparent with you about. And I gave you multiple opportunities to ask me questions. I called you multiple times to give you the chance to fulfill whatever questions you have for me. I could provide you whatever documents you needed. And I gave you what you asked for, and you said you were satisfied. So to keep trying to attack me, I don't understand why. Again, I pray that God bless you anyway.
Thank you.
Okay, but you're wrong. That is not fraud, man. That's business.
Well, all I'm doing, I'm looking at what it is. It is what it is. Okay, and that's all I can say.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
For help.
You didn't bring enough documentation when you came here the last time. You were unprepared. You were doing your very best. I admire that. But it just wasn't a win-win.
So ma'am, tell me you're not interested. Don't go behind my back.
I'm not gonna say that I'm
just
not
saying.
interested.
Tell me you're not interested. Say, King, you know what? You don't have your facts. We can't go on a deal with you, but don't go around my back and construct a new deal. That's.
I didn't.
I know you didn't. I'm just talking in general wherever it happened because it did happen. And I can't point to who it is. But it did happen. Okay, so whether you don't like the fact that the property went into foreclosure or that it went into the other person's name, that has nothing to do with the relevance. At the time when I came to the board, I was under a contract legally. I explained that. And due to the process in which we did not discuss, I am no longer in contract and I am at a very disadvantage trying to get back into contract. Not because of something I did, but I was promised here that I would get the LOI the next day. I never got it.
Who promised?
Well, first off, the board asked that the LOI be given to me. He said the attorney said he'd have it to me the next day. I never got that. I made multiple phone calls about it, never received it. Now, had that process continued, then we'd be having a different conversation today. Had I got that LOI, I promise you this conversation would be different today because we would have got the extension that we needed to continue negotiations with the town about the liquidation of our.
But you said the LOI from who?
The town of Eatonville was supposed to give us a LOI.
From the town of Eatonville?
I mean, not the town, the CRA.
From the seller, right?
The CRA was supposed to give me a letter of intent. Okay. They're supposed to give me a letter of intent. That's what, you can go back and look at it. That's what we discussed. That was promised. It was asked, Mike, can you get it? Mike said yes. Attorney said yes. Attorney said he'd have it for me the next day. I never got it. But the seller, the lender did directly to him, bypass me, no conversation with me about it.
So someone did get letter of intent.
Not me.
So who's supposed to get letter of intent?
Me.
The seller, the owner, or who's supposed to get that? If one was presented, so it presented to the right person. Am I right or wrong?
I'm the one who presented the deal to you. I was the one that was supposed to get the LOI. We can try to bypass it all we want to. There was nobody else involved in that conversation. I was the only one involved in that conversation.
I think at this point, just me being a leader up here, we can't continue being the horse. I've already, said what I want to do. Going back and forth with different members is not gonna help the cause. I think it's a great proposal, what I propose. I think we need to vote our convictions on it instead of continue pointing fingers at each other, because that seems like what we're doing right now. And I want to ease the pain for everybody. And I understand your frustration because I've been in your shoes. You know what I'm saying? And I want to resolve this the best way that I can that will benefit everybody. The CRA, you know what I'm saying? Because we got a business to run, as well as you and your family. You know what I'm saying? I want to assemble something that's gonna be, for the betterment of everybody. You know what I'm saying? So I think if we can stop right here, I know everybody else gonna have whatever they wanna say. But I think pretty much everybody's already spoken on what they want to speak on. And we need to move past this, or we can, either, get it done, which I'm hoping that we can get something done that would be, tremendous. And, just get past it. So that's where I'm at with that.
Wait, Director.
I'm not too sure whether or not your interpretation of a letter of intent is the same as mine, but I have these documents here where the owner, Mr. Jonathan Kinney, signed this on February the 11th, and Mr. Johnson acted in behalf of the board, signed this on February the 10th. And you were here on, what day was it?
6.
February the 6th.
Yes, ma'am.
So this was signed about 4 days after the fact. Now, I don't know who received this, but this is in our packet. I just want to make sure that you understand it. So when you said about a letter of intent, I just yielded to the attorney to see if he had this document. Okay. So I don't, huh?
I'm not trying, I wanted to go a while ago. I didn't want to be bashing anybody and anything, but this, as simple as I can say it. Guys, I was not representing Jonathan Kinney when I came and spoke on you guys. I came representing myself, my family, my business. Okay, I made an offer to the town of Eatonville. Out of respect for that, a decline or intent should have been offered to me.
Okay, now you need to take that up with the seller, not with Mr. Johnson and not with the CRA. Because Mr. Johnson did his part. Mr. Johnson addressed these documents to the seller of a letter of intent. Okay, I know you say you should have been a part of it, but if Mr. Kinney, if he wanted you to be a part of it, if he was giving you a last chance opportunity, I think he probably would have done that as an investor. For whatever reason, he chose not to do it.
Okay. God bless. I don't want to fight with you guys. I don't.
I would like to be heard.
Director Fred.
Okay. Wow. Public records are invaluable. If you look at public records, even if you go back and look at the original presentation that was submitted to us by Mr. Bertrand, the property addresses are listed. The owners are listed in the property appraisers website. And if you even dig a little further, you can go comptroller and find more documents there. The business, if I'm not mistaken, is the owner of a number of the lots that was presented in the original presentation, right or wrong. That would be you as the representative for those properties, correct? The only property, and even the West Street property, is even still listed under your name, regardless of title, in the property appraiser's website. So even if you didn't know to look for a title, even if a document had not been yet recorded, his name is still on it. Even the College Street property, Mr. Kinney's name is on it. Mr. King did in fact mention these facts when he was here for the special meeting. I feel like we are so distracted by the personal information that has been presented that we're not looking at what is actually beneficial to the agency. And when I say that, I mean, even the special meeting that we had, we did all this talking about who, what, when, where, why, and how, when the question should have really been, are you interested? Check yes or no. Clearly, we're interested. I think that was made clear, which is why you originally even came to members of this board to ask us to have this discussion. That being said, what happened, what transpired after you left here on the 6th, I have no interest in pointing fingers over who spilled the milk. I would just like to know if it's gonna get cleaned up and if it's not gonna get spilled again. I am sorry that this has been your experience, because I would like to think that the mentality of this board is to move this community forward through good business practices and through good dealings with our constituents in whatever capacity that is, whether that is business owner, whether that is developer, whether that is resident. I would be so naive as to believe that good old Eatonville could do business the right way. And while I don't have all the expertise and all the experience in this field, I do have some. So even the claims that you came unprepared rub me the wrong way, because my experience details that we would have had to do that anyways. We would have to pull our own title report. We would have had to get our own appraisal. There are things that you could have brought in us that might have given us a bird's eye view about what the situation was. But at the end of the day, we would have had the responsibility as an agency to do our own due diligence to ensure that all of our facts, all of our T's, all of our I's were collected, crossed, and dotted. I feel some type of way about those comments being stated. I'll let that go. As it stands tonight, my questions are these, and Mr. Johnson, maybe you can chime in. I know I've had a chance to look at this information as it has been presented, and even the additional supporting documents that have been sent over. My first question is this: I did hear you mention that Ms. Nasser is dealing with a family issue, and I do hope for the best outcome in that. Can you confirm where we would potentially pool the funds to be able to move forward should we decide to do so?
You have a line item, it's like infrastructure,
Okay,
and
potentially.
that will be one of the.
Okay. Okay, and I'm assuming that, and I know that this is not discluding you, but considering what's in front of us, which is a contract between the TOPRA and Mr. Kenny, I'm assuming that with closing coming up before we can have another scheduled meeting, that,
We're having a special.
okay, we are gonna
We
agree to a
haven't gotten
special
to
meeting.
that point.
Okay, because what I'm asking is that we see where those funds are being collected from, so that we know going in that checks are clear. Thank you for that. My comments about public record, you can pull it up. My next issue is the decision, which is eventually what this is gonna come down to, a yes or no. Especially considering all the extra information that has been provided tonight about what a yes would mean, what a no would mean, how that would affect you and your intentions when you brought this to us to begin with. So what I would like to know, and maybe Attorney Jackson can also chime in on this, if we decide that, yes, we are still interested in the acquisition of the property, we know that we have certain authorities once we do acquire the property as a board, and that we can dictate those at a later date. The contract as it stands now is what we're voting on, correct?
All the terms in the contract can be changed however the board sees fit.
Okay, and that wouldn't affect the letter of intent, that wouldn't affect the contract as it stands now. You would have the authority to go back to the seller and say, the board has come to another.
Once the board takes any official action and authorizes the execution of the contract, whatever terms y'all decide, that is what will be presented.
Okay. And so the way that I internalize that is that we can have the conversation tonight to go ahead and say, yes, we still are interested in acquiring it. And when we come back, we can set some stipulations on what we as an agency, who would now be the owners essentially at the end of closing, want to do with the disposition of the property. But I think for tonight, for the sake of time, we should decide whether or not we want to move forward with the acquisition of the property. I personally would, and I'll be very specific and strategic when I say this. Considering our history as an agency, former transactions as an agency, I would like to see you keep your house. I would hate to be in your position. I do want to do what's best for the agency. So if it's okay with this board to go ahead and vote, I'm in favor of acquiring this property. Now, I would want to lean on my fellow board members after the acquisition of the property to decide, hey, this is in the best interest of the agency. Maybe we can come back to the table and have another conversation about what happens after that. We can discuss whether we want to split the lot, paint the house, cut the grass, tear down the fence. We can talk about all of that after we decide whether or not we want to acquire the property, because that's the real question. It's not about who called who. And again, some of my comments are based off experience and expertise in this field. And so a lot of what you're saying, I am familiar with. I do know about assignable contracts. I do know about wholesale contracts. I do know about letters of intent. I also like to add that a letter of intent is to be between a seller and a buyer. So even if I wouldn't have cut you out of the conversation, to Director Randolph's point, the agreement at the last meeting was that our executive director and that our attorney would draft up a letter of intent, and it would go to the seller, who is in fact Mr. Kenny, who we were made aware of. So there would be no reason for quote unquote anybody else to be involved, but as a courtesy, as a good business practice, I can understand how the expectation would be to be considered and included in that conversation. I want that on the record as well, as it relates to the letter of intent and how it is interpreted, and if we don't understand it, how we should ask for clarification. And that's all I have.
And I must say something, clear up something. You said that the letter of intent was to go from here to the seller.
It's supposed to be.
So what
between
happened
buyer and
is
seller.
what was to have happened.
So the way that it did happen, should have happened as such. We are the interested buyer.
Okay.
But I'm saying that because he feels slighted because he was removed from the conversation in its totality. And as he stood here the last time, the conversation across this platform was that our representatives would get together, draft up that letter, and submit that to Mr. Kenny, who is indeed the seller, who is the rightful owner, title, etc. And so to be removed from that conversation when you're the one who brought it to us, I get that you feel slighted. So I just wanted to clear up that the letter of intent, as it is in the packet, from my experience, is correct. It did in fact go from our end as the interested buyer to the seller of record. So there was nothing unusual about how that was done, other than the fact that as a courtesy, he would have liked to have been included. I just wanted to clear that up because I know that Director Randolph had some time.
If the letter of intent was delivered the day after, in which I was still under contract, makes me the seller. Do we get that? Because I had the right to assign the contract and sell. Now, after the 7th, I'm out of contract. I no longer have the right, so you're correct. When it was done on the date it was done, he is the seller. But had it done in the time frame in which we discussed, okay, the letter of intent should have came to me because legally at that time I had the right to sell. Okay, so that was my point mainly. That once that day passed by and the conversation got from me with the seller directly to now the seller and the town, all my leverage with the seller, all my conversation, everything is out the door. Okay, and that's where I find the mistrust and the mis whatever. You know what I'm saying? But absolutely right. After my contract expired, yes, the only person to negotiate with is the seller because I'm no longer in right to negotiate. But when we agreed, I was, and in the time frame in which I was supposed to receive the letter, I was. So I just want to put that out.
I'm gonna say this, and I just have to say it. And let me, this is just technical. The actual document does state about the property being vacated at time of closing. When I spoke with Director Johnson, that was me. And the reason I said is because when we wanted to purchase the hotel with all those residents, that was concern at that point. So I wanted to be clear that we were not the reason that the signing of this contract was not the reason that we were not the cause for anyone having to vacate. Because that could hold us in a legal position. So that was me. I'm not gonna let anyone take the fall. And again, that's even doing, and that's number 6A. So it was a repeat was in the actual contract. It was already there before it was on the agenda. The second thing is, if I don't know what you came, if I wasn't here, so I don't know if you gave a contract, like a standardized contract, but on the standardized contract, if there was nothing presented and a box was not checked on number 7, it says then the buyer may not assign this contract, which seems that you would have been in the position of assigning the contract. The other thing is if I was purchasing a home and the realtor say, hey, you got to put in a contract, the buyer could have several contracts to choose from. And we don't often agree, but I'm going to have to agree with Director Randolph when she said that the seller did have an option. I don't know what his thoughts were, but he did have an option. Let me finish. He did have an option. The other thing is, if right now you have an alternative, because if we look at the time frame, if you did have an alternative for financing, you get, even if it's pre-qualification, pre-approval, I don't care if it's hard money, soft money, your neighbor down the street, then it should have been something in writing that you gave to say, hey, we will be closing this deal on such and such a date.
I gave to who?
I don't know, it could have been at the meeting, it could have been tonight, but let me finish. And this is the touchy part. And I have to say this because you may or may not be privy. But there's another concern that I have. And forgive me as Angie Gardner in the community. I have to sit here and say, well, I can't sit on this information because that same passion that you're speaking, I received a phone call with a package of information of someone who thought they had been done wrong. And I can't let that go. And that is a part of where I'm coming from. There's no guarantee that you would get the money. And I am so sorry about the position that you're in.
Can I ask you a question?
No, wait, no, I'm gonna finish what I have to say, but there's no guarantee that you're gonna get this money. And if you look at the time frame that you've had to get the money, hard money usually is like, what, 36 hours? Because that's how people deal. I don't know how long. I've never used hard money. I've never used, and if I go to conventional lending, that takes a minute. But I know that you can get something in writing if that was happening. You know, so there's nothing in front of me for my decision that states that this is not the best way.
God's good. I would like to, Mayor, receive the package of information that's talking about your citizen, in which you've had multiple conversations and communications with, that you come to me and say, hey, I received this information, someone's saying this. Can you tell me what happened?
I couldn't.
Yeah, you could have.
I couldn't.
Yeah, you could have. But that's a different story. Okay, that's a different story. But clearly, you've assumed that they're right. Okay?
No, but it is out there, and the decision's being made without that background.
People have been accused of a lot of things. You know what happened at the end of the day? It'll be disproven.
Okay.
Okay, and the truth will be out there, and you guys can deal with it then. Okay, but just because someone comes and say something happened, and you decide to take their word for it and assume that, well, it's me, it's them. Okay, I can't do anything about that, but I can defend myself 100%. I can tell you that I can show you a lot of different things that says others. Okay, but that's the point is, you're right. The seller had the opportunity to say yes to you after the 7th, okay, which is when my contract expired, which is when y'all approached it. Okay. But in our conversation and my trust in the town was that I get the letter so that I had the opportunity to get the extension, not so the town could go directly to him and propose anything other than what we were talking. That's all I'm saying. I mean, yes, he has the right to accept it. Yes, you got the right to go to him. But if I didn't talk to you guys about it, you'd never know this situation is.
I got one question for you.
Yeah.
Why did you wait
to the last minute to come to come before this board?
Who knows who to go to? Who knows who to go to?
This is what you do for a living.
Yes.
So you know who to go to.
Hold on. No,
That's what you saying. Hold on.
I've never gone to the board before to act.
No. I say, why did you wait so long to come to bring this to us?
Why does that matter? Why does it matter how long, why it took me so long to come to you and say, hey, man, I need your help? Right? And then after I ask for help, I get stabbed in the back. So it doesn't matter how long I waited to get stabbed in the back. That's what's happening. It doesn't matter how long I waited to come and ask you for help. If your friend is going through something and he waits around and telling you, hey, I'm going through something, I need help, you get mad at him for waiting. But he comes to you.
I got another question.
Okay.
All right. If I'm not mistaken, the house was auctioned off. All right. The present owner of the house is giving you, I'm gonna say, leniency by letting you live. That's what I'm gonna say it like that. You know what I mean?
We paid for extension.
You paid for
We
what?
paid for extension. We paid him money to extend our time. And that's what we've done. But that still has nothing to do with what you've done. I mean, me taking 6 months to come to you and ask you for help does not change how you go behind my back and manipulate the situation. That does not change it. You cannot make the person that's asking for help the victim or the cause of what you're doing. I don't understand how that is. I don't even understand how we having this type of conversation, man. I came to you guys to ask you for help. You could have told me no. I walked away and figured out something else. That's all I was asking for. I said, hey man, if you're gonna do it, let's work. If not, let me know. But I did not expect anyone to go around me and cut my legs from under me. So I have no option but to rely on this. That's all I'm saying. That would have been fair.
I just got a couple things on that. If we see to purchase this property and at the price of, now we're the landlord, and what would be the price for monthly rental? If that's something you gotta look at too. So I don't know if we have that price up with the, because I don't want to take a loss. If we pay this much for the property, they should be paying no. So I mean, if that's something you gotta look at. So I don't want to purchase something and we paying something that we paying something not enough for the note of this loan. Pay back to the agents. And with interest, I mean, that's because we're not, you know. Right.
Can you answer again? Cause
I mean, it would be a landlord, so what would be the fee on the money we pay?
I don't think this is.
Okay.
Yeah, this is.
I'm sorry, I.
First things first.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
First things first.
But I do have one more question, because it does go back to the Dixon property. One of the reasons that we couldn't just pay the taxes is because we had to purchase the property. So if we're setting up this deal, to me, it's the same. So to me, the public good and all that has to be there are other things that we have to consider. So I know we talked a lot, already. And it just seems for CRA rules and regs, we can't just bail anyone out. We purchase the property and then once that property goes out of the hands of the CRA, it has to be for the public good.
Madam Chair, it's not just for the public good, it has to fit within your plan. And I've been sitting here looking at the plan.
Right.
And that wouldn't fit.
Question.
I mean, it has to fit within your plan. And I've been sitting here, the past 30 minutes looking at this plan to see where this would abide within the plan.
So saying that, will it or will it not?
My cursory review of it.
Then I say we wait until we know for certain. And not discuss it now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay. Did you say it will or will it not?
My cursory review is that it does not. You have to be somewhat creative, and I don't like being creative. So, there are provisions in there for affordable housing, but it's dealing with developers and very specific things. And I have to look at this to make sure that I'm properly advising the board, as to what the plan says and how it fits with regards to 160.3.
Okay, thank you. Business plans.
Would be recognition.
It's not in the plan.
My recommendation is that you can vote, but in terms of the future use beyond tonight, that has to be discussed.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor for approval of resolution CRA R 2025-12? Signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed.
Nay.
So approval 2025-12 has been. The next item on the agenda is CRA R 2025-4. This is the item that we were moving to table. We need to have a vote on, okay, all in favor of tabling item number, tabling the vote for resolution CRA R 2025-4, please signify by saying aye. Wait, is there a motion to take?
No, first, you gotta read the preamble.
Do we need to read the preamble if we're gonna table it? No, is there a motion to table?
Okay.
Moving and second.
So, second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. All right, item has been tabled. Resolution CRA R 2025-13.
13.
Is it 13? 11, special quarterly event. Is there? Thank you.
Resolution CRA R 2025-11, a resolution of the town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOFRA, for approving special event Stoges at Sunset as a town of Eatonville TOFRA quarterly event, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
You've heard the preamble. Is there a motion?
Question.
It's been moved and seconded. Director Randolph, then Director Pritchett.
I was just, referring to the, inquiry about this particular, event, about any costs or expenditures on behalf of the CRA. I think when we discussed about future events, it was not going to require any expenses. So, Director, can you comment on that, please?
Right now, the only expenditure, if the board approves this action, is paying the $250 to use the town hall. That's the only expenditure that I've been made.
Okay. So this event, other than that, is self-sufficient?
It has to be self-sufficient.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, Director Pritchett.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find my words. No, don't.
You want me to come back?
Yeah, did somebody else have a?
Yeah, I have something. And board member Washington, like I said before, and I've been a stickler on this. The only reason why I won't support this is that it's here at Town Hall on the hollow ground. I just feel as though this ground that we here should be reverenced, and we have the Denton Johnson parking lot and area that you could have your event, and that would be the only reason why I don't support this and any other events that are held here at Town Hall. That's just my take on it. That's it.
Director Daniels, we do own a piece of property across from the old CRA building.
Right.
And but it's up to this board where the location is.
Right.
But I just wanted everybody to know.
Right, but I thought it would be up to the town if they wanted to have it here, CRA don't own.
Well, the town has a permitting process.
Right. I never did like that either. Okay. Just wanted to put that out there, so you don't say I'm hating. I just just don't want to hear. I'm just saying, just don't want to hear.
I don't understand about this parking lot, because a lot of things go in this parking lot.
What?
There's hookups, you don't.
But they're free. They're free. Well, no, they're free.
That's free too.
No, somebody's property. We'll stay.
Director Chris.
So I'm trying to draw correlation to the plan. I know we have like arts, cultural leeway. And I know that we're making it or attempting to make it a CRA event. Can we clarify how this is different in any capacity? I mean, I think the holdup to begin with was we couldn't donate money to a nonprofit. So I guess I'm trying to understand why it has to be a CRA event, why Kilgore can't.
Oh, that's not kill, but it's
Okay.
it's the whole.
But it's
We dropped it because it's can't use enough profit. That's why we dropped it.
right. But what I'm saying is before we kick that to the curb, the understanding was, okay, we just can't donate to a nonprofit. Okay, so that's fine. Because we had already talked about maybe a year ago, maybe last May, talked about, and Director Washington, I think it was you who brought the City of Orlando's special event packet for their CRA. So we talked about establishing a special events program. We've had other organizations that have come in that have asked for support. So I guess I'm just trying to find, without manipulating, I'm trying to find how this ties to the plan. That's my first question.
If you're reading the plan, it specifically talks about the agency under the 97. It specifically talks about the agency doing more events, bringing people into the district, to attract more businesses into the district. And one of those ways are creating vending opportunities, which is business, into the district. It is a direct goal that we have to do it. Now, whether it's Stogies or Ogies or whoever you choose, the vice chair has recommended that he's agreeing, move it under the CRA. It helps us accomplish what the plan calls for.
Right.
Okay. But no,
It's this is a question that was on Ms. Johnson. How would this event attract businesses? My thing is, if you go to 1887 night market, you have people that want to put their bakery. I know we don't lost 3 restaurants. People's businesses could go up anywhere. But once they see the people who drive through the traffic, that's what brings businesses in your community. If they don't see, if you drive, people don't want to come here. And that's how some businesses left. The advertisement, the marketing. And that's one of the things with the night market, with what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do, make it right, because that's what other cities are doing. I passed through a lot of cities and a lot of commissioners. They do events to bring people to the community. Then you might get 1 or 2 people say, I want to put my business in. And that's how this happens. It just don't, they just don't come and say, I want to come. They have to be in the city to see what's going on in your city. So that's one of the reasons I try to make Eatonville be on the map doing this here, especially with 1887 that market. That helps it out. But this is one of the things we need to be doing constantly, not just so because that get a bad name. Rate is good for that day. A lot of people make money that day, but do they come back? Only just in my case. So we want people to come through here and stop and spend money. That's one of the things I'm really pushing for.
I see your finger there, so I'll keep it short. So I guess I'm not opposed to the CRA taking on this event at all. However, for the sake of structure and for the sake of clarity as an agency, so that we're not setting a precedent or opening up the floodgates, I think that and this might be a conversation for you and I, Director Johnson, that we should go ahead and establish a program that supports both our plan and our objective. That way, any other attracted businesses or vendors have a pipeline to follow, if you will. That way we don't muddy up the waters with haterade, if you will. That way we can accomplish the objective, but at the same time, make sure that we are in line with what we're actually here to do. And then outside of that, I think that once we establish that program, because I know Director Daniels had brought up before that every director should get an opportunity to support an organization or a type of event or whatever the case is. I think once we establish a program, we can kind of put a number on it, which does answer some of the questions that I've heard, not necessarily about Stogies, but about special events. I think if we put a program together, we kind of put it on we put it out there what exactly we're trying to accomplish. And we don't leave anything to someone's imagination. We're saying exactly what we're offering, just like with every other program that we have, the plant and pay program. This is what we do. This is what we offer. This is what you can get. These are the requirements. All those, whatever program we have, infield program or roofing or imaginations, whatever the program is, I think we should cater to this because again, to your point, if this is something that's supposed to be attracting new businesses, if this isn't a objective of the agency, then we should be specific with how we go about it. That way, we're not being called out as, having any sort of bias.
I think what's missing and if Director Washington does his homework, he can shut me up, but the market analysis has to be done. You have to have something in place to make the people want to come. So if you have your Stogies and Sunset, and then you got the cigar guy, hey man, if you come here and business booming, listen, we got 3 open spots, over here where the restaurants are. Let's see, because we got the foot traffic. We get you here, then you can make this amount. Boom. I think that's what I'm looking for. I just don't want it to be we spend $2,000 just to go out and party and have fun. You're saying you want to put Eatonville on the map. You got to get these businesses and you got to make them want to come and put not only their tents, but want to put a footprint down in these open buildings that we have. The Gordon's Be Back that's wide open right now. The Soul Food Fantasy that's open right now. That these businesses will want to come and put their anchor here. That's what I'm looking for, a board member, Washington. I'm not trying to be a hater. I want to see the data. I want to see, you're saying you want to put email on the map. I want to see the people that are coming from here. Here, Daniels, I got a list of people from St. Pete, Miami. They came up to my Stogies event. Here, I got a sign-in sheet. See, it's making a difference. Here, this is how much they put out. Here's a CRA table that sold CRA shirts and hats. This is how much money we made, not just to, in a sense, have fun, but let's be profitable and make this thing work for our town. If you're dead set on, saying you want to put us on the map. And that's all I'm saying.
Director Daniels.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons I agree with you about getting data about attendance.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons now we will be there to do the educational component of CRA, do the recruitment for some of our lease space that's empty now, to do that. So this event, like any other event, gives us an opportunity to do that. And we're starting to engage all of our stakeholders to try to find that niche, what you're saying, to fill that void, because that's not happening. So if it's not a CRA event, I'm gonna be honest, I wouldn't be there. I use my Saturdays with my family. All right, but if it's a CRA event, I'm gonna be there now, and we got to do that legwork. Me and my staff will be out there doing just what you're asking.
Mm-hmm. That's what I need. That's the data I need to know that we're making
I know
$2,000 is being spent well.
First of all, I had to get the board to authorize it. Now, if you look in the resolution tells you about expenditures. Before I do that, that comes back to the board. So you're gonna know what's going on before the event. So you're gonna know what is planned, how it's laid out, and answer some of those questions that you're talking about. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you with that one.
And when you do that, I'll come.
We'll see you on March 29th.
Director Matt.
Sorry, guys, be there.
Really brief as possible. Being that we've already, talked about this and we've came to the conclusion on what we needed to do in order to have the Stogies, because it was on the other side, now we position ourselves to have it on the CRA side, and you will be, promoting it. You have the tent, you have all the accessibility that we need in terms of like just cards, perhaps, T-shirts, hopefully, promoting it. You know what I'm saying?
We're working on some memorabilia that people have to walk away from. Purchase back before set small.
Right, and then if anybody knows about, the Stogie event that Vice Chair have, it's a very eventful evening. The times I've been there, I went to support it, you know, because I feel like any event we have in the town of Eatonville, you should be there supporting it, if you're a leader in this community. And I think it's something that we need because it's entertainment that we don't have. We don't have anywhere to go. Where we gotta go at? Nowhere. So the people, and I communicate with the people because I'm very adamant about talking to people. You understand me? And then when you talk about coming to something of this magnitude, people are excited. You should have seen the excitement that people had when they came out to the last one. There was like, when is the next one? You know, we don't have any taverns, we don't have any restaurants, we can go and sit down with our families. This is an opportunity that we had to do something that was so eventful, man, and the people, our residents, were so pleased and happy with it. So I'm glad that we're in a position to do what we're gonna continue doing with the event like Chair have. So hopefully we can, you know, continue making this a positive thing and you know, because it's kid friendly too, because there's a lot of kids out there also, you know. And I think it's gonna be helpful for us to just continue doing the things that's gonna help us strive until we can get farther ahead and do other things. So, you know, keep doing what you're doing, man.
I echo what the board's sentiments are. One of the reasons, and that's why a couple meetings ago, if you remember, I brought the issue up. Because I wanted the board to weigh in and give me direction.
I remember that.
So tonight we're here to give me direction. So once you give me that direction, I'm gonna deliver some of the things that Director Daniels talked about, I'm gonna deliver some of the things Vice Chair's talking about, some of the things that you talked about.
I like your vision.
But I cannot do that without your authorization.
It's all about vision, man. All right. Thanks, got a motion on the floor.
Can I have one more comment before we vote? And I'm assuming that this will come back before us after you have your direction and we iron out the details. I know we mentioned the potential of having it in the town hall parking lot, but any, I guess I'm curious about any expenditures that we could alleviate ourselves of by, for example, having it in our own lot, and then finding out where that's coming from is something I would like to know, as well as proceeds. I'm not that I'm looking to make a buck, but how that cycles back into how we support the vendors that are bringing these events.
Everything goes back into the agency.
Everybody was like these, all vendors, fees,
Fees
sponsorships, all that comes towards the CRA. That's what you see funded out. You see what came in. That's where you see
And
funds.
you'll get after each event, you'll get a after action report. But look, the only reason in Director James, I know I mentioned the property, but we can't use that property. Not until me and Public Works go through the right process to remove that septic system that's open on that site. So, and the only reason you saw Zora doing it because it happened without talking to you, because they would not have been on that site. So that all that happened first. But she provided insurance to cover us.
Then on top of that, you guys are paying to utilize the facility anyway.
She didn't,
right? It's gonna be a cost.
Oh, we have to pay that.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not like you guys are just
the town council
on the property without, you know, doing, you know, the due diligence of paying whatever fee it is that we're gonna, you know, charge you guys. So.
Right. The application's been turned in hoping that whatever you guys decide, then we'll transact.
And then if I can say this also, not to cut you off, this is why it's so important that we position ourselves to do something that's gonna be structurally foundation, you know, or the foundation for the town of Eatonville, with, you know, just getting other things besides just using this facility. You know, we don't have a lot of accessibility. We don't have places that we can go and do all these sorts of things. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we're positioned to do so many things here, you know, because it's Front Street for one. It's a, you know, it's a neutral spot. Everybody's familiar with it. Tons of cars passing by here on a daily basis throughout the night, and they see the nightlife, and guess what they're doing? They're getting out their cars to see what's going on. And that's why we had the crowd that we had before. And I think it's gonna help us, you know, continue that pace if we continue having events like this. And I don't want this to be the only event we have. You know what I'm saying? We need to create other things that's gonna be, you know, enhancing this community to, you know, have people come into the community. Because it's all about business, right? We want to create business. How you gonna create business when if you build it, the people gonna come, right? So we're trying to start somewhere while we can get to that point of, doing right for the community, man. So with that being said, that's all I got also.
Alright, so there's a motion on the floor, all in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye, all opposed.
Nay.
So you want to get?
Alright, resolution,
Just for the record, can you confirm who moved this second?
I second.
I think I moved. I think I moved.
back and free something over.
Yeah, I moved it.
Yeah, that's it.
So Mac, be free. Okay, that'll work. And 6-1.
And then the final item is, you ready?
Yeah.
Alright, the United Arts of Central Florida.
43 on the first.
Resolution CRA R 2025 13. A resolution of the town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOPRA, approving the submittal of grant application to United Arts of Central Florida, LLC Cultural Facilities Program. Completing feasibility study and other required studies for the successful grant application process and providing for conflict severability and effective date.
You have heard the preamble, is there a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? Seeing there's none, it is approved. We're now ready for comments.
The only report that I have is to ask the board members to mark their calendars for March 22nd. And that's gonna be the CRA Housing Resource Fair. We have Orange County gonna be present, council per agent that does the weatherization program for Orange County. Help CDC is gonna be there. Children, neighborhood families, they're gonna be there. Duke Energy is gonna be there again to keep promoting their program. The town is gonna be setting up a booth to talk about the vision process and where they're at in that process. CRA, of course, will be there, moving the whole thing. We're gonna have to, once again, pay the $250 to rent the property. So I'm gonna get with Macedonia, ask for overflow parking to be over there because we're not gonna allow people to park in there. Because we gotta set up tents. And so probably take up all the space.
Day parking?
On-street parking and find the other functional parking locations other than city halls. So we're looking forward to that. We encourage all the residents. Whether you're a renter, there's something for you, there's something for everybody. Orange County is going to be rolling out their new grant program in March. And our citizens are going to be like first come, first served basis of their new grant process. So they haven't provided me that information, but as soon as I get it, I'll make sure. That's all I have.
No report. I'm gonna start off with the comments for tonight because making the decision that I made earlier is not easy because we, there by the grace of God go I. However, we're not sitting up here to represent individuals. We're here to protect and to look out for what's best for the town, period, and it's a corporation. But personally, I do feel. But at the same time, I have other reasons as well. But I want to say that. I also want to say that, just to clarify, when I protect the position of the executive director, you also heard me include the legal. Those are the only two main positions that we have aside from us. There wouldn't be anyone else. So I want to make sure I say that clear for the record. It wasn't a person, it was the position. Because every time we've had a new election, we've played with those two positions and it cripples this organization. And this agency right now, you see what happens when we just stay out of it and let it do what it's going to do. And that is why I want those two positions protected. With that being said, Ms. Johnson, thank you for your notes. I think we get most of them. Hopefully whatever we did not cover,
I'll provide her.
Director can get with. And those are my comments, Vice Chair.
No comments. I know somebody's trying to get you a basketball game.
Oh, that's over.
No.
He even got my ticket down the drain. I guess that went to a good
It's
cause.
not your comment time. But
No,
since you're talking,
no comments.
Director,
Good Lord. Y'all
Director Mack, go ahead.
messed me all up.
Go ahead, Director Mack, since you're talking.
Okay, I'm sorry to be.
You didn't have any comments, okay.
First of all, I would just like to, thank the, citizens for just coming out here, being engaged in CRA business. I know sitting up here, it's a tough job. There's a lot of tough decisions we have to make, but we also got to make educated decisions also. And I heard what, Chair said about, not helping individuals, but I think being a leader, I think it's our job to make sure that we're looking out for the citizens that, any chance we can, if we can help them. And I know a lot of times things seems personal, but at the end of the day, we can't let that or allow that to deter us from doing things that, we feel like we need to be doing. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna be looking out for the betterment of the community. But I say that to say this, if we can come to, some kind of conclusion on helping this particular situation that we talked about on 119, after we have gained acquisition to the property. First things first, we don't want to put the cart before the horse. Then we'll deal with that when it comes. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see nobody out on the street. I'm pretty sure you guys feel the same way. Business is business, though. We understand that. But if we can help that particular family out until we can later understand how we're gonna move forward with doing it, if it's something that we can do legal, I'm definitely in tune to do that. And also, I just want to get the flowers out, man. I can appreciate Mike Johnson as our executive director, man. He's doing a phenomenal job. Just getting in here, he's still on the probation period, but I don't think that, frustrates him, man, because he's doing the work. He's doing the legwork, and he's doing exactly what we need him to do. You know what I'm saying? He's never went outside the boundaries of doing things that's gonna be something that we don't agree with. And if we do have any situations or problems, he's always coming to the board, because that's who he essentially works for. He works for the board. So, and our jobs are to work for the citizens of this community and making sure that we are doing everything in our power to protect CRA. Just like I tell people, community redevelopment, you know what I'm saying? Redevelopment and development is totally different. People got to understand the different analogies when it comes to that. And I also want to give a flower to the attorney. I know in the past, we've had some disagreements, but guess what, man? It's a part of life. You know what I'm saying? That's why I know for sure that I definitely want to put those stipulations on you guys having that ability to have a supersede, because you guys deserve it. And I don't want to see super majority. Super majority. Super majority. Super majority. Thank you for helping me out. I really appreciate it. But that's something that I definitely want to do. I'm a big advocate of, just trying to, help my brothers, because that's what we are at the end of the day. And I know we're conducting business, but I want to be able to protect you guys also, man. Kudos to you guys. Continue doing what you're doing, man. And that's my report.
Oh, I'm sorry, Director Williams, not director.
Great job, Matt. Great job. Only thing I have to say, I'm a stickler on in order to have better, you gotta want better. It needs to resonate throughout this community. I'm a firm believer in that. I'm always on the executive director about educating the people. That's the only way. I thought as a board tonight, we did a great thing as far as, purchasing that piece of property. We'll see, we'll talk about logistics later. I just thought that was a great move. As we move forward with the agency, I just want everybody to just keep this in there. Want to have better, I want them. And that come from us. They got to trickle down to the community.
Thank you, Director Chris.
I wanted to firstly apologize to the board. Chair Gardner has been very motivational in making sure that I am prompt and just across the board in the community in general. And I appreciate that, because it is important how we present ourselves and these meetings, and these items are publicly accessible. And so I want the best to be said about Eatonville, and if it won't be said, don't include my name in it. So I want to apologize to the board for my tardiness. I won't blame it on my beautiful crumb snatchers and their booty rendezvous that they've been having the last 6 weeks. But I'm glad to be able to be here tonight. I tell y'all all the time that I really appreciate the opportunity to serve this community in this capacity. So I wanted to express my apologies for that. I also want to say that I am super excited about the housing event that's coming up. That's something that, as on this board that we talked about, is something that I'm sincerely passionate about. I'm one of the products of this community that was able to see the value in this community. I was able to come home, and everybody isn't blessed with this situation, but was able to come home and purchase my family home, and raise the next generation right here in Eatonville. So being able to see some of these ideas come from this table to the parking lot or the CRA lot or the Denton Johnson Center lot, wherever it may be, I'm super excited about it. I have so many counterparts and friends and family members that are from this community that are trying to find their way back to this community. And so I think that us being involved in that capacity is huge. And I look forward to more partnerships, more events, because that's how we keep Eatonville. So I'm extremely excited about that. Other than that, have a good night.
Great, thank you. Director.
No report. Have a nice night. Thank you.
With that being said, I think that was everyone. Director. Daniel, sorry.
I agree. We rarely agree, the chair and I, but we do agree that we are on a business. And I just don't want it to be the start of when people get in trouble, they want to try to come here and get money and, we'll be lending, we want to help you. So we have to be very careful with this, situation that we have. Thank you everyone for coming out, and have a good night.
Let's go to church Sunday. I'm going to church on Sunday. Oh, that being said, I'm looking for adjournment. Second, all in favor, say aye. 8:27. You are.
I'm gonna miss the whole spoil, man.
Yes, Mr.